It's a pleasure having you joined us right here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. And welcome to Insights. My name is Seun Akinola. And today on the program, we want to put Nigeria on the front burner and look at some questions about leadership and followership and take a perspective of where the issues are, and also take a look at what our guest has been doing with his life. Permitting to welcome right here Reverend Gbade Ogunlana. Reverend Ogunlana is a teacher and a preacher, is a poet, is a novelist, a writer, as you might say. Is a founder, a good man. That's a forum for mentoring men in this part of the world. Is also a host of popular TV series, Paitowa. Welcome to the program, Gbade Ogunlana.
Thank you very much, my brother.
How are you?
I'm extremely fine.
You use the word extremely. Why?
Well, because that's the truth. I always tell the truth. I'm not only fine, I'm handsome too.
You're fine, you're handsome.
Yep.
You're very witty. I've always listened to you some time ago on television. Very witty, and you have a style of presenting the scripture. How did you get that style?
Oh, that one is spiritual. God gives people things like that, my brother.
How?
Inborn.
Intuitive?
When you're called by God, He gives you gift. For example, I'm sure you're a professional. You learn what you're doing. You are equipped with the skill. So also, when God calls you to do something, He equips you with the ability to do it. Part of it is that. That's how I got it.
So did God call you?
Yeah, He did. He did.
How?
Oh, there is something about... there's a question people do ask, what is God's purpose for me? What should I do? This and this and that. The answer is simple. What do you enjoy doing the most is the direction towards the purpose of God for your life. So I found teaching people very easy from inside. I enjoy it. That is how He called me to do that. Aside from the fact that He called me.
Is there a spectacular way God will call someone? Do you have a thunder, lightning, and
not necessarily, but when I was 14, that was when I got born again. It was in a football field. A preacher was preaching, and as he said, if you want to give your life to Jesus, come forward here. As I was about to go, inside of me, I heard a voice that said, you will become a preacher like that man. That is how.
And so eventually you became a preacher.
Eventually. I never done anything different from preaching in my life.
Well, so what did you study in university?
I read agricultural economics, University of Ibadan.
So what's the relationship between agricultural economics and what you do now?
Absolutely nothing. Because really, university education is just to go there, first degree for that matter. To go there is the ability to speak English, nothing more than that, and be able to think. That's what first degree gives you.
I love the fact that you said be able to think. Are we thinking right in Nigeria?
Yeah, we are thinking right. When you say right, when you're talking about thinking right or not, we will have to look at the input and the output. If we are looking at the context of what we are being fed of, are we expressing maximally? Yes. But the problem is, are we being fed enough? So we are not thinking right only because we have not been taught to think, or maybe allowed to think, or be fed with enough information to think very right.
So the problem is we are not getting enough to help us think right.
That is it.
Now I'll take you to my fundamental question on this particular program.
Yep.
And the fundamental question is the question of leadership and followership. If you look at it very closely, you've been in Nigeria for some time now. You were born here, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Which one is the greatest problem or the greater problem? Is it the leadership or the followership?
When it comes to this question, realistically, I'll put it for... I'm not even going to first say leadership or followership. I would rather say lack of education. The followers are not taught enough. We don't know enough to follow. And the leaders do not know enough to lead. So we are all grooming, struggling in the dark.
let's take it one by one. We don't know enough to follow.
Yeah.
And the leaders don't know enough to lead. What do you mean? Separate them.
Now, let's look at followership to start with. The context of followership, some things are not appropriately put. They are wrong. For example, followership in our own context means just follow me with your eyes closed and your mind blocked. Followers are not taught to think. We are not taught to ask questions. We don't challenge leadership. We don't speak at all. We are not taught to say no. And the moment you start saying no, you are redefined not to be a follower again. And the leaders, our leaders are not, they lead as if they are a lone ranger. They don't see themselves as a representative of the people. They don't see themselves as being accountable to the people they are leading. They are in front, not looking back, whether people are following them or not. That is what I mean.
Now, I'm going to interrogate more of this. When you say we don't ask questions, what kind of questions are we expected to be asking?
Now, this is it. Leadership is about responsibility. There are three things that are connected: leadership, authority, and responsibility. The more responsibilities you have to attend to, the more authority you will have. The more authority you have, the higher indicator of leadership you are. So it is like this. The president has more authority than the governors, so he also has more responsibilities. In the context of leadership, our leaders don't understand that the reason why they have the authority is because of the responsibilities that is upon them. So they wield the influence of authority without necessarily attending to the responsibilities. That is where the link is.
Now, leadership concept in Africa seems to be domineering.
Exactly.
It seems to be that you are in charge and then people should not challenge your authority. And so we think questioning them is challenging the authority.
Exactly. You have.
Can you separate them?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. That the leadership we have in Africa in general is they look at the position where they are and they smile because they don't understand that it is the responsibility that puts them in the position. Without the responsibility, they don't have authority. But leadership in Africa is not like that. They look at the position, they enjoy the position. There is something about absolute that the leadership in Africa seems to attach to every post. Absolute authority, absolute expression. They are on their own, untouchable. That is the problem.
No, but that's entrenched both in politics, in business, even in religion.
It's an African thing. I made a statement once. I said even religion doesn't allow people to think. One of the evils of religion is that it shuts people's mind.
What do you mean by that?
This is what I mean. No. I'm a religious person. You know, I'm a pastor, but I tell the truth. See, for example, if people are not taught to think, to ask questions.
But in
people
churches,
dread asking pastors questions.
Let's say in religion, let's not even be specific about a particular religion.
Yeah.
Generally in religion, the religious leader is seen as more like second in command to God. So when he's talking, it's more like God is talking through him. And so who dares look at God's face and ask him questions?
And that is where the problem is. Take for example, there is a constitution that we use in Nigeria and it's available in the market. You and me, we are not lawyers, but there is nothing debarring us from having knowledge of the constitution so that we will be able to challenge our leaders and say, are you doing according to the constitution? In religion, every religion also has the book of constitution, which is available both to the pastors and those that are being led. But see where the problem is this: when you have a system where the people that are being led are not allowed to go and find out from the same source that the leaders are finding out from, then there is the problem.
So who's stopping them from finding out?
That is where understanding comes in. Many times religions are brought in and talk to people's mouth. You've got to swallow it with or without water.
Now, so we don't think about it.
Many times it's because the leaders also do not have a clear understanding of what they are doing. Because if you are a pastor, for example, I'm using pastor because I'm a pastor, you're supposed to teach your members to think. You're supposed to say, anything I say, go home, find out, verify whether it is true. That is how I do. That's how we're supposed to be doing. But many leaders are afraid of doing that because
if you challenge a pastor, if you challenge a particular thinking or a thought or a particular dogma, you are seen as a rebel.
It's the same thing.
A nonconformist.
It's the same thing when you say, Senator, can you tell us how you spend the allocation? You are seen as a rebel. It's an African, it's a black thing, it's a disease.
What's wrong with us?
Well, let me say that we don't think. That's what is wrong.
Why don't we think?
We don't think we should think.
We don't think we should think.
Yeah, we're even afraid of thinking.
What's scary about thinking?
There are sometimes, let me put it like this, there is development, there is growth in everything. For example, the way religion was brought, many people thought that since it was brought like this, you just have to take it up like that and just continue like that, without going to fact that when things are dropped onto you, you think, analyze, revelation is progressive. As new things come in, we have to get things better, we have to think, we have to improve, we have to go over things. So many people hold it as it was delivered to them yesteryears, without questioning, without thinking, without adapting it to the present situation.
The program is still Insight right here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and Reverend Gbade Ogunlana is still my guest. Program is still Insight right here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and Reverend Gbade Ogunlana is still my guest. Reverend Gbade, I'd like you to look at another issue.
Okay.
It still bothers on leadership and followership issue and thinking and not thinking. When we talk about thinking, asking question, knowing your responsibilities as a citizen or as a leader, which will guide you in delivering on your mandate. Now, why is it that we are having such a set of leaders in politics the same way we have in religion, who dominate their followers?
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, when people are a product of what they are taught. For example, you are what you eat, either physically or mentally. What we are being fed with, generally speaking, is what is making us the way we are. For example, when the governor is going out and you have about 20 cars in front, 20 cars at the back, and he's in the middle, and 39 cars are bulletproof, how do you have someone like that a question? There is too much gap between the leaders and the followers. And it's the same thing in so many institutions, including religion. If I come here to your station here with 12 bodyguards, this little girl that introduced me to come here will not be able to come near me at all. You will have to see 12 people to ask about me. But all those things are nonsense. The African thing, they don't have nothing
and you don't do that. You're a general overseer.
Oh, did you see me coming with anybody here?
And general overseers today do have bodyguards.
Yeah, well, some need it.
For what?
It depends. There are different definitions of bodyguard. Does it make sense? It makes sense for some people. Why? Because if you have the level of the anointing and you have the level of the wealth, you might need people to surround you. To some people, it's a makeup.
Now, there's something that is worrisome. I'm delving into religion a little bit more.
I'm here for you.
Good. Now, in religion today, you have some religious leaders who live in affluence. You just said it now. That's maybe when you are rich, and then you have members who are in penury. That gap of, hopelessly poor and mindlessly rich, where you have religious leaders in the cadre of being very rich stupendously, and then you have the followers who are very, very poor. I mean, that kind of gap.
Well,
what is responsible for it?
Yeah. The truth of the matter is that will always be, for the simple reason is this. See, I'm a pastor. There are a lot of these very rich pastors that you think they are doing a lot of things to help the poor. You from outside may not just hear. For example, there are some of these people that have missions to the poor, the orphanages. They don't necessarily promote that. So you just see them in the jeep. You don't know some other things that they do. I said that sincerely, that is the truth to many of them. On the other hand, there are some of these preachers that some of them have been graduates for 30 years. If you're a graduate and you read mathematics or you read economics and you work in the bank for 30 years, you should be using a jeep now unless you have family costs. So that many of them, naturally speaking, they should be rich. But one thing is this: when you do God's work, God blesses you. I'm telling you the sincere fact. God blesses you.
Are you rich?
Me? I am not. I won't say I'm not rich in that sense. I'm an average person. That's how I am. I'm an average person. Then I'm not a black man in mind like so many people have.
When you say you're not a black man in mind, I'm worried.
Yeah. What it means is this. You ask me, am I rich? Mm-hmm. I owe people money. If I need money to go back home now, we ask you for money. But see, if you need money also, I pray and believe God and get the money. That's just the thing. If I have a need, I pray to God. God provides for me, and I use it. That's all. That's how I live.
That's your own principle.
That's my principle. That's just my principle. I'm sent to local people, so I take Okada as you see me. In case you see me on Okada, don't. That's how I am. I take Okada. I don't. That's just how I am.
A general overseer.
Well, I'm not even that kind of general overseer.
What kind of general overseer are you?
Because when I start a church and it's well granted, I give it out to somebody to continue pastoring, and I move and go and start another one.
Is that your ministry?
That's my ministry.
You're a church planter?
Yes.
Strictly?
Strictly.
So when you planted the church, you let it grow and then you leave it?
I leave it for somebody to change the name, to do everything as their own. And I never collect nothing from them again. So I'm always a very small, insignificant person.
Why did you choose that?
I didn't choose that. That's what God caused me to do. I'm a foundation layer. That's all. That doesn't make me anything. That's just a professional. That's just my profession. That's all.
Now, let's get to the issue of corruption in society.
Yep.
What will you attribute corruption to?
In the society, corruption, it's... I will attribute it to the fact that when you are corrupt and you are caught and you are not punished, you encourage others to get corrupt. I think if appropriate punishment is there. I'm sorry to say, I'm a pastor. I just remember I'm a pastor. Sometimes I wonder whether jungle justice should not be done. Sincerely, when you say somebody stole something, they caught him and he went to court and he won in court and they returned back all the money. All this whole nonsense.
Because it's legal, it's law.
It's so sometimes I will have forgotten I'm a pastor. I will say, my God, where is jungle justice? Then I will say, oh God, forgive me. Sincerely, when somebody you think like this, somebody steal 1 billion and he's gone to court and he won, you feel bad. This 1 billion will save everybody in your state. I mean, you feel terribly bad. Then it's so difficult for you to stop a young guy who wants to be doing yahoo. It's very difficult. They should punish people that are guilty.
But some people also attribute the fact that the religion is propagating, the sense of get rich quick.
Yeah, you see, let me put it like this. Because our environment is poor, an average person is poor. I'm poor, you are poor. We are all poor. There is a natural tendency to be gravitated towards where maybe prayer or spiritual or something. So those are some of the things. I feel like this, we should work a lot on education. Educate the people generally. Let there be increase in knowledge. You will see there will be a change in the direction of things.
You seem to be a very stickler for education.
Yeah. It is because it's what we need. A black man need mental miracle.
Not financial miracle.
Let me tell you something about money. If money comes your way and it doesn't meet financial literacy, it will go.
What is financial literacy?
Ability to multiply what comes your way and cause it to remain with you. That's why you hardly see somebody winning lottery, becoming rich in life. Huge amount of money is not our problem. Money is not our problem. Money, because if we are giving money, the money will still go.
Pastor Ogunlana, you said yes. Money is not our problem.
It's not our problem.
But that's what the rat race is all about.
Financial literacy is our problem. We don't know how to manage money, how to keep money, how to multiply money. We don't save. All those things are the main problem.
Is that the problem of the black man?
It's a black man problem. It's also our national problem.
How?
We have enough resources to be one of the richest in the world. We are not. Because we don't know how to manage it.
Do we have enough resources?
We have too much.
Explain that to me.
Well, what it means is that what we have in a state, just a single state, if you give to some people like the Japanese, they will transform this country.
But the governors are complaining there is no money.
But they are also illiterate. You are talking about illiterate people talking. We have low level of education and understanding. That's our major problem.
At that level of the society, you said they're illiterate.
Oh, my brother. The reason why you will be able to agree with me is because if you are leading and there is no improvement, something is wrong somewhere, and it's not God and it's not the devil. The devil is not a major problem. It's not God. It's not the devil. It's lack of understanding.
Are you saying that the problem Nigeria is facing today, we need not God but understanding?
No, we have God. You're talking about being religious. Nigeria is very religious. We are religious enough. That's not our problem. So our problem is lack of education. Both the leaders and the followers. The leaders don't know how to lead. We followers don't know that we even have a right to ask questions. In a situation like that, every one of us will just be in the dark, and we are in it already.
Now, in this darkness
why
that you said,
you look at it, sometimes you really wonder whether something's wrong with us. Somebody will be in charge of football or sport, and then you get a lawyer to be in charge. Are we mad? You go to school, you go and learn something, you practice that thing. When you get outside, it's like you make me now to become the minister of sport. That's madness. That's not my strong point. Make me a pastor. I'll be a pastor.
Initially, you said when we go to the university for the first degree, just to speak English language and not to think.
Yes.
And so a lawyer can also be at the Ministry of Mineral Resources.
There are some of these things that are more professional. For example, what did you study in school?
It's insignificant.
Because you now know how to speak English. You learn some things on the job. But when it comes to a ready-made thing like sport, they don't make you a minister of something and you start learning on the job. No, that is meant to be given to someone who has proved himself from experience.
So we have round pegs in square holes.
Many times.
In leadership position.
Most of the time. Almost all the time.
And so that is the reason why we are adrift.
One of the major reasons. And you guess what? If you put me in a situation that I don't know what to do and I'm running around the circle, my brother, I will just be flushed off.
So what will set us free from this?
We need education.
We're back to it.
Yeah, we need to learn properly. Sometimes I push some things on social media, and one day I pushed something. I said we have Christians, Muslims, we don't have Nigerians. I said we have Christians, Muslims, and others, but we don't have Nigerians. When you say things like that, people will like it and all this stuff. It generated the least likes in social media. And I said that proved it.
Now, Pastor,
No sense of belonging.
Now, Pastor, but
yes.
Let's push this theory you said now.
Yeah.
I have been following a thought about our history, a bit of our history, particularly political history. And I came to a conclusion that we raised Yoruba people, we raised Igbo, Hausa, TV, Ijo, and the rest. But we didn't raise Nigerians.
You're right. Absolutely right. I've proved it online. You make a statement, people will like it. You see a lot of people following. When I said that there's no Nigerian, only 5 people liked it.
Why?
Because there are no Nigerians.
So who is a Nigerian?
You won't see. Nigeria is someone that you have not seen in Nigeria. We don't have sense of nationality. There is nothing like this is our country. This is what makes a Nigerian. We are not fanatical about being a Nigerian.
Now, is there in Nigeria?
There's no Nigerian. So there is a Nigeria, but because
there's a Nigeria?
There is a Nigeria.
How?
Well, Nigeria is that octopus that has many different legs and is walking in every direction like someone that is drunk.
And no direction.
And no direction. That is it. So maybe we first need to get our identity right. So this is Nigeria.
Why?
Then we will then follow.
That's why I asked the question, because you cannot have a Nigerian without a Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, if you described Nigeria as an octopus with many legs, as it were, and moving in all directions and no direction, and then you can never find a Nigerian.
And that is where the direction comes first.
Now, what should be our national identity?
Oh, that's for the federal government to
no, you can help. You can help. You're a spiritual father.
No, the way to look at it is this. You know, there are some certain times that sometimes you just look at the culture and you promote a culture and you make it ours. The identity is all about this is ours. For example, I teach on television in Yoruba in the program called Paitowa. That is that program where everyone can rally around that thing. If we can get something we all can rally around, then we make it ours.
The program is Insights right here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and I still have Pastor Gbade Ogunlana with me on the program. The program is Insights right here on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, and I still have Pastor Gbade Ogunlana with me on the program. And it's telling me that there is no Nigerian, no single person called Nigerian. That's thought-provoking for me. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Gbade. We need a national consciousness. You're saying that we need a centripetal force where all of us will gravitate towards, where we will identify as ours. Now, how can we create that?
Well, it is possible, but one of the things that we need to do, is a funny thing. You know, some time ago I heard that they scrape history in school. I think they've restored it back up there.
Yes, they have. They have, sort of.
You talk about pure madness. How can somebody say forget where you're coming from? How do you have direction of where you're going to? It is pure madness. Why are we afraid of our history? Why are you afraid of your past? Children coming up, and this is how to coin out what we will all gravitate towards. When I know where you are coming from, I know the way you think, you know the way I think. There is something that is a thread that connects every one of us. But when you even scrape history from school, children don't know. We had June 12, the other 2-3 days ago, thereabout. And ask children, do you know MK Abiola? If they do not study it in history, how will they know? They are not, they won't know. We don't have to be afraid of where we are coming from. Unless we know where we are coming from, we will not be able to come together and say, let's channel a direction, a common ground that can bring us together. There are sometimes, if you find out that common ground is not reachable, Maybe different grounds is our identity. Then let's go different grounds.
We live in a plural society where you have a lot of ethnic groups in Nigeria. About 450 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Now, don't you think that if we look at it very closely, is it a curse or a blessing that we are in this kind of plural society?
It should be a blessing if well managed. If poorly managed, it will be a curse.
Isn't it a curse now?
Well, as it is now, when you look at the riots, fightings here and there, you wouldn't want to say that's a great blessing.
Right now?
Right now. You wouldn't want to say that. Because
but how can we pull together? How can you pull Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Ijo together as one people and see themselves as one?
That's where leadership is concerned. Do you know, with good thinking head, with good leadership, you can create a system whereby people will come around and watch and see how 200 different sets of people are living together in harmony. Is enough of a thing to attract tourists to this nation. They say Nigeria is a place where you have every means of transportation being used, from the horse to bike to all those things are things we could appreciate, organize very well, that will attract people if properly managed. All these things is still going back to leadership.
But now our diversity is not a strong point to us.
Well, because you don't want your child to go and serve in the north or in some other parts of this country, that means it's not a blessing.
Has religion contributed positively to the nation building or negatively?
Oh, it has contributed very, very positively.
How?
The amount of problem we have in this nation is kind of enormous. When you have a system where people are not taught, people are not enlightened, you have a lot of darkness. The only thing that can overcome darkness is light, and that is what religion brings. It brings light. You know, people say things like this: if we are praying as much as we are praying, and churches as many as we are, and we are in this problem, what are they for? No. We better thank God that we have churches. We better thank God that we are this religious, or else we won't be where we are today. There are a lot of nations that have separated with half of our problems.
There are nations with less than half of our religious tendencies, and they are high flyers.
Yeah, that is another thing.
They don't know God.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with religion.
You are absolutely correct. And this is something, you know, one day I said something like, somebody said, Pastor, if churches are well, if they are doing what they're supposed to do, should we have these armed robbers in the town? Should we have this? They are putting the responsibilities of the government on churches. The church is not meant to reduce number of thieves in the society. I hope you people at home you are hearing. It's the government's job. In UK over there, I was in London one Sunday like that, and the church I was going to, they were having their meeting in the football field or something like that. And I saw some white people going there. I even thought that they were going to the same church where I was going to. And I found that they were going to play ball. And I remember my people, I told myself, my God, we don't only have children's session. We have children's session now. We are going to start having a pet session. Everybody go to church here. These people don't go to church, and you can sleep with your both eyes closed. If you forget to unlock your car there, and they don't go to church, they don't pray like we pray. What's our problem is because their government understands the responsibilities of the government. It's the job of the government to provide security for its citizens. It's not the job of the church or mosque.
I'd like you to talk about family.
Yeah.
I look at society today, I see a lot of irresponsibility around. See children running the streets, you know, uncouth, uncultured, untaught. And you see delinquencies all around as the family structure failed.
We will not say it has failed, but we will put it like there's a proverb in Yoruba that says that it is today's dog that can chase today's rabbit. The generation that we are in now, the understanding of the last generation is not equipped enough to provide adequate training for this present generation.
How do you mean?
What I mean by that is this. You see, this is the age of internet. So there are some peculiar problems that comes with development. We can't say we will not have development. So we will rather say this is where the church comes in. whereby you train the parents also to say, see, what you used yesterday to have peace at home is not what you can use today. Let me give you an example, some peculiar problem that is with us now that was not there yesterday. My mom sell my mine in front of our house. If she closes late, that will be 12 noon. By 11, she's through. Do you know what that means? Food will come on the table for my dad at the appropriate time. They will never have problem with sex. They will never have such problem. Today, my wife has to work. If your wife is working in the bank, blessed are you. She comes home 9. There will be problem with food at the right time. There will be problem with sex. There will be problem with training children. We have a lot of things today that makes it a little tougher than yesterday. Those are some of the factors.
So how can we bridge that gap? How can we help?
That is where we need to sit down and talk and discuss. Even as a family, where are we going to? Are we really getting the best? Are we where we ought to be? We may need to make some sacrifices and adjustments.
Are we having challenges with parenting?
Yeah, we are having. You see, what happened is this. 4 generations ago, they were able to bring up the 3rd generation a little better way because they pass across to them all they know by custom and co. The 3rd generation was able to bring only half, pass across only half to the 2nd generation. That 2nd generation was able to give only 25% to this last one and this present generation. So you have this thing going downwards naturally. So we better sit down and say home first.
Now, a lot of divorce that we find, cases that we find right now in the society, what's responsible?
Some of these challenges that belong to this generation. For example, why will my wife work? Is it what I'm handling as a pastor that my wife will take care of her children in school? She has to work. Because she has to work, it brings other challenges that I have to face and adjust to. Or else, how will our children be trained properly?
Can a Christian divorce?
Well, can a Christian divorce? Why not? Why not? Let me tell you something.
God hates divorce.
Yeah. Don't you also hate divorce? The fact that you hate divorce doesn't mean that it's not impossible. No, he doesn't like divorce. Let me tell you something about marriage. When God gave the commandment, I'm going to run you through something, but it's in 2 minutes. In the Old Testament, when God gave them the law on marriage, there was a clause he gave Moses. When they came to Moses and they said that we've got to divorce, God had to tell Moses, let them write letter of divorce. He gave them a concession. That was the exact thing that Apostle Paul also did. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he said, if you live with this fellow and he doesn't like your face again, you are not under obligation on that. I am a pastor. I'm not going to let you kill your wife just because I know God hates divorce. No, we will rather go to divorce court than to go for your burial. These days where you are hearing a man killing the partner, a wife killing the partner, it is wise, it's wisdom for a pastor to say, rather than killing yourself, my brother and sister, go for divorce. So it's borders on being intelligent and understanding what is going on today. God hates it, but sometimes we may not be able to avoid it.
And so we need wisdom.
Yeah, we need wisdom. And it doesn't stop you from going to heaven.
Can you say that again?
It doesn't stop you from going to heaven.
When you divorce?
Yeah, it doesn't stop you at all. It doesn't stop you at all.
Can you remarry?
Why not? Instead of you having sugar daddy, go and remarry. Period.
You're radical about this point.
Somebody has accused me that I'm a radical person, but I'm not. I'm just a commonsensical person.
Not being radical?
Yeah.
Because some people are dogmatic about it.
They don't have enough knowledge. They don't know.
What knowledge?
Bible knowledge. They don't know Bible knowledge. Have you ever seen God revise Bible? No. The Bible is a book of principle. And the principles are there so that you can apply in every generation. So you look at the generation that you are in and know how to apply the Bible. So it's a book of application. So what it means is that's why he put some people in the church who can explain it, adapt it to the present situation. He will never revise that Bible throughout all the generations, but they need to apply it. The application of it is where many people don't have the understanding.
So they are rigid.
They are rigid because they don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to also go back to your style. You know, I said it before we came on air about your style. You seem to infuse some sort of, comedy.
Well,
into your teaching.
Yeah, that's part of it. See, what happened is this. I'm a communicator. The job is for me to be able to, I want to communicate. I want to pass knowledge to you. I want you to know very well. So I sit down as a professional. How best do I put this thing across to you for you to understand? I'm sent to local people. They are used to every week program. So I have to design things in such a way like that. And moreover, God made me to be naturally like this.
And so you chose the word paitowa.
Yeah,
that's really hilarious.
Yes. You know, that's how local people call my pastor. But I got it from Mrs. Fagbongbe. In my first experience in pastoring, full-time experience, was in 1990 at Ifuamuru in Kogi State. I was a church member of mine, Mrs. Fagbongbe. She's the one that always say, "My Paito me." So when I started the program to remember her, I call it Paitowa. And it goes with everything. It explains that this is bringing the Bible a little bit different from the way they are used to.
I'm not conventional.
Because that works.
Pastor Gbade Ogunlana, what will save Nigeria?
What will save Nigeria? Well, let the followers be thinking. Let's be asking questions. Let's put our leaders to questions. Let's ask questions people don't like to answer. There are some touchy questions. We should not just overrule them. Some of our leaders, they have some questions in their own heart. They also don't ask. It's good for A and B to be together. We ask ourselves, does it make sense? Is there a point at which we say no? Let's think. Let's be bold. Let's tell the truth. If we all do that, wherever we find ourselves, Nigeria will be better.
Pastor Gbade Ogunlana.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking with Splash FM.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.